You saw it. You felt it. That subtle unease in your gut. That moment when something didn't feel right. But instead of pulling away, you leaned closer. Why? Why do we ignore the warning signs that someone might hurt us? Why do we defend people who are slowly destroying us? This isn't weakness. It's human nature, rewired by love, fear, and denial. Tonight we go deep inside the brain to uncover why the heart keeps you blind. Even when the truth is screaming for your attention. When you love someone, your brain activates the same neural pathways triggered by addiction. Dopamine floods your system, the same chemical released when you win, when you gamble, or when you take a drug. It rewards attachment. It amplifies pleasure. It erases danger. That's why early love feels euphoric, and why red flags vanish behind emotional highs. The brain doesn't want truth. It wants consistency. It wants reward. When those rewards come from someone toxic, your brain rewrites the narrative to protect the supply. So when the person lies, you call it a mistake. When they disrespect you, you say they're stressed. When they hurt you, you say they didn't mean it. You're not naive. You're neurologically invested. You're chemically attached. Red flag blindness isn't just chemical, it's psychological. Many people who ignore danger grew up in chaos. Their nervous systems were trained to equate love with uncertainty. When affection came after fear, their brains learned to link pain with connection. That's what psychologists call a trauma bond. It's the invisible leash that keeps you tied to the person who hurts you, not because you love the pain, but because pain feels familiar. Your subconscious whispers, "This feels like home." And so you stay, you rationalize, you fight for the illusion of safety that never existed. This is why the cycle repeats. Why intelligent, strong, capable people get caught in the same patterns again and again. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. Your brain hates conflict, especially emotional conflict. When you love someone who's hurting you, your beliefs and your reality clash. Belief, they care about me. Reality, they keep hurting me. That clash creates cognitive dissonance. A mental discomfort so unbearable that your brain tries to resolve it. But instead of changing the relationship, you change the story. You minimize the abuse. You exaggerate the good. You rewrite events to make it all make sense. It's not because you're in denial. It's because your brain is fighting to preserve hope. Hope becomes the drug, and the person becomes the dealer. This is how emotional manipulation sustains itself. Through the victim's need to believe the illusion. There's another reason red flags fade: identity fusion. You start to merge with the other person's reality. Their needs become your mission. Their emotions your weather. Their validation your oxygen. The more you lose yourself, the harder it becomes to see them clearly. Because now walking away feels like self-destruction. That's why people defend their abusers, protect liars, and justify betrayal. The mind says, if they're bad, what does that make me for loving them? So the easiest way to escape that pain is to keep believing the lie. Red flags aren't invisible. They're inconvenient. Your mind sees them. Your gut feels them. But your heart edits the footage. Because love isn't rational, it's primal. It's the brain's oldest program, designed to bond even when it kills you. Denial, therefore, isn't stupidity. It's protection, the mind shielding itself from heartbreak by creating a fantasy. But here's the truth you must face. The longer you protect the illusion, the more it consumes your reality. Love should make you safe, not blind. And if you're feeling this right now, that quiet ache in your chest, that's not weakness. That's awareness, finally waking up. When someone hurts you repeatedly, your mind doesn't rush to judgment. It rushes to protect the story. Because if you accept that they never loved you, then every moment, every sacrifice, every "I'm sorry" and becomes meaningless. So your mind becomes the defense attorney. It builds the case for them. They didn't mean it. They're just under pressure. It's not always like this. You're not defending them. You're defending the version of them you fell in love with. That's the psychology of excuses, not a flaw, but a survival mechanism. Let's break them down, one by one. 1. The guilt reflex. They say, "You're too sensitive. If you really loved me, you'd understand. You always make me the bad guy." The manipulator's most effective tool isn't anger. It's guilt. Guilt distorts accountability. It turns victims into caretakers of the very people who caused their pain. Every time you question the relationship, they make you feel cruel for wanting peace. "You're abandoning me. You're overreacting. You're making me feel worthless." So you stay. You soothe. You silence your own pain to protect theirs. Guilt turns morality inside out. It convinces you that self-preservation is selfishness. But guilt without wrongdoing isn't morality. It's control. 2. The empathy trap. Empathy is beautiful until it's weaponized. The manipulator studies your compassion. They test it. They learn how far you'll bend to understand them. Every tear they shed, every childhood trauma they reveal, becomes a shield. You start to think, if I just love them harder, maybe they'll heal. But here's the truth. They don't want healing. They want forgiveness without accountability. So you become their therapist, their parent, their confessor, until your empathy, the very thing that makes you human, becomes your cage. The empathy trap doesn't ask you to love them. It asks you to sacrifice yourself for them. They don't need your understanding. They need your submission. 3. The hope illusion. Hope is not the opposite of fear. It's its accomplice. The brain clings to positive memories to avoid emotional collapse. They used to be kind. We had good days. Maybe they can change. This is known as intermittent reinforcement. The same technique used in psychological conditioning and gambling addiction. When rewards are unpredictable, the brain becomes obsessed with earning the next one. You stop looking for happiness. You start chasing permission to feel safe again. Every apology becomes a jackpot. Every good day, a hit of dopamine. And before you know it, you're not in a relationship. You're in a casino, betting your sanity on their next good moment. That's not love. That's emotional gambling disguised as hope. 4. The fear equation. They say, if you leave, you'll regret it. You'll never find someone like me. You're nothing without me. Fear isn't always about violence. Sometimes it's about loss, fear of loneliness, fear of failure, fear of starting over. Manipulators don't need to lock the door. They just convince you you're safer inside the cage. At least I know what to expect here. That thought is the mark of total psychological capture. You've stopped running from the abuser. You're now running from freedom. Fear doesn't keep you trapped. Familiarity does. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to remember that peace ever existed outside the storm. 5. The moment of rationalization. You think, they're just hurt. They didn't mean it. I'm not perfect either. Excuses are not lies. They are emotional survival stories. They exist to make unbearable truths tolerable. You don't justify their behavior because you're weak. You justify it because your entire identity is entangled with their existence. The brain doesn't protect reality. It protects continuity. That's why denial feels safer than truth, because truth ends the story. But every excuse is one more day in the prison you built to stay safe, until the day you realize love should never need a defense attorney. The defense against emotional blindness. 1. The awakening. Every recovery begins with silence. Not peace, but silence. The kind that feels wrong at first, because you've forgotten what it's like to exist without constant noise. You've spent months, maybe years, translating chaos into meaning. Now you're learning the hardest language of all: stillness. This is where defense begins, not with confrontation, but with comprehension. The realization that what happened to you wasn't love that failed. It was manipulation that succeeded. And once you can name it, you can never unsee it again. The moment you stop excusing someone's cruelty is the moment they lose control. 2. The anatomy of clarity. Clarity is a weapon, and the manipulator's worst enemy. They thrive in confusion, because confusion keeps you docile, always guessing, always explaining. The moment you name the tactic, you separate them from you. Gaslighting is not a difference of opinion. And stonewalling is not space. Silent treatment is not maturity. The brain learns through pattern recognition. And once your mind sees the pattern, the illusion collapses. The first stage of defense is cognitive labeling. The second is emotional reprogramming, because logic frees the mind, but emotion frees the body. 3. Reclaiming emotional territory. Every manipulative relationship rewires your emotional map. You associate comfort with chaos, love with adrenaline, attention with anxiety. So the path to freedom isn't about finding new people. It's about rewriting those associations. You start by noticing the physiological cues, the tightening chest when they text, the restless calm when they disappear, the thrill of winning them back. These are not feelings of love. They are chemical withdrawals, dopamine and cortisol. The twin chemicals of addiction and survival are what kept you hooked. Defense begins when you stop interpreting chemical chaos as emotional connection. It's not love that hurts. It's dependency disguised as devotion. 4. Boundaries as armor. Boundaries are not walls. They are maps. A manipulator's power exists where your boundaries blur. When you say yes just to avoid guilt. When you stay quiet to keep the peace. When you forgive faster than you heal. Each of those moments is a small surrender, and they add up. Boundaries are not built by rejection. They're built by recognition. Recognize what drains you. Recognize what deceives you. Recognize what demands loyalty but never offers safety. When you draw the line, manipulation turns into noise, and noise loses power when it's no longer heard. 5. Reprogramming the self. After manipulation, your greatest battle isn't against them. It's against the version of you they created, the version that apologizes for existing, the version that doubts every decision, the version that confuses peace with boredom. To rebuild the self, you must perform psychological deconstruction. Step 1. Identify what they made you believe. Step 2. Disprove it through action. If they told you you're hard to love, give love to others without needing it back. If they told you you're too emotional, study your emotions until you understand their logic. If they told you you'll never find better, start finding yourself. Healing is not forgiveness. Healing is education. Every moment you understand yourself is one less moment they control you. 6. The liberation sequence. You've stood on both sides of your own trial. You've defended lies. You've excused harm. And now you render the final verdict. You were never blind. You were just loyal to a false narrative. But today you choose clarity. Today you choose distance. Not because you stopped loving them, but because you started loving yourself. The sentence is freedom. The punishment, none. The lesson, eternal. This is how emotional blindness ends. Not with revenge, but with release. You've seen the signs. You've felt the pull. You've forgiven what should have ended. But now you understand why. You've stared straight into your own emotional blind spot. And finally, you see, if this episode left you questioning who's really in control, it's because the next truth is darker than you think. In every story of manipulation, there's someone pulling the strings. Quietly, precisely, without ever being seen. And in the next episode, we'll expose them. The puppet masters, how manipulators rewrite reality. Discover how they implant false memories, distort your perception, and make you question your own mind. Because the most dangerous kind of control doesn't come from force. It comes from belief. Subscribe, not for the algorithm, but for your awakening. Like, share, and leave a comment if you've ever seen yourself in these stories. Because every survivor's voice dismantles another illusion. Truth doesn't heal you, it frees you.